Dear friends, today we shall focus on one of the important aspects of management and organization behavior. It is about managing change in organizations. Most people hate any change that doesn't jingle in their pockets. So, whenever we talk about change management, what we tell people they will accept only that change. I think which will improve their financial positions. Otherwise, they will not. They will not, I think, accept it. Okay. Any kind of change, I think they try to oppose. Now, in this one, we are going to discuss some of the aspects relating to change. The simple meaning of change happens to be any alteration which occurs in the overall work environment of an organization. We call it change. If you can remember, is the reason why. If you can remember, the other day I was sharing with you, there are certain elements in the case of an organization. I told about task, structure, technology, people, and they have a strategy and they operate in the environment. Now, any alteration which occurs in these elements, then we call it as change. For example, if you take a task, even if you take the classes, the way they were conducted offline. Today, we have to say, I do not know. People say thanks to COVID and all these things, people they're accustomed to this online classes. Online classes. Now, the task that is the teaching that we are doing, it has undergone lot of change. For example, what we have to teach sometimes it undergoes change, and how we have to teach also undergoes change. The technology that we have to use also undergoes change. So when the work itself undergoes a change, I think we call it, it's going to have impact on the other elements of the organization. We call it as change. You know, nowadays people, they talk about fourth industrial revolution, and they say this is going to take away most of the repetitive jobs. So therefore, when it is taking away most of the repetitive jobs, it is going to have a lot of repercussions on other aspects of the organization. So the task is undergoing a lot of change, the work that we are doing. Then the structure is undergoing change. Previously, the structure was, I think, when you talk about the line structure, and today we got into this network organization structure online. I think the structure of the organization matrix structure, product matrix structure, and I think we used to talk about different kinds of organization structure. And today, the structure of the organization has undergone change because of the technological change that are taking place in the organization, and because of the work itself has undergone a lot of change. So there is a change in the task, there is a change in the structure of the organization, there is a change in the technology that we are using in the organization. Then the strategy that we have to reach to people is also undergoing lot of change. So task, structure, technology, then you can think about people. A new generation has come into market, and older generation is there. Baby boomer generation, it has I think slowly they have stopped. Slowly, I'm not saying they have stopped working. Slowly they have stopped working. A new generation has entered into market. Therefore, the attitude of people, the way they learn and all these things, they are undergoing lot of change. So there is a change among people, and today we are encouraging DEI. diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is what brought into our workplace. And when all these things are entering into our workplace, the work environment is undergoing a lot of change. So all these things, they have necessitated a change in the organizations. All these things, they have necessitated for us to change. But it is very easy to talk about change. Maybe it is much more easy to give a lecture on change management. But when you go through the process, lot of things will be there. I think uh, when we experience personally this change, I think we find, I don't say it's impossible, but a little difficult we find it. So, as a manager, it is our responsibility to say that this change takes place with less amount of pain in the organization. So, the simple meaning of change is any alteration which occurs in the overall work environment of an organization. Now, change. Remember, change results from the pressure forces. Of course, I'll be discussing force field analysis. There are a lot of forces that push you. They expect you to change. Any change that happens in one element of the organization will be having change in other elements also. For example, a simple change in the technology, transformation of inputs into outputs results in change among people, results in change in the structure of the organization and other things. So change comes from several pressure forces, like maybe technology, maybe social forces, maybe international forces. So all these things, they make you to change. Then change is affected by a change in any part of the organization. I have given you five elements which operate in an environment. If any element is changed, it is going to have impact on other parts of the organization. Then it affects all parts of the organization, like task, technology, structure, people, and strategy. So it starts with one part and it is going to have impact on other things. Sometimes it so happens, um, you expect that the change is going to come, you prepare for that, and that kind of change we call it as a proactive change. On the other hand, when change enters into the market, then when you start reacting to that kind of change, that is known as a reactive change in the organization. Now sometimes people, they use this word change and transformation. Now, what is the difference between change and transformation? Change is doing things differently, and transformation is a new way of being. And change main focus is on the behavior of people. In the case of transformation, we our focus is on the value system of the organization, value system that is there in the organization. Now, quickly we will go through the differences between a change and transformation. Change happens to be a physical process. It is very simple and it is time specific or time bound. It happens externally to the human beings only, and it is embodied in the policy of the organization. Whereas transformation, it demands a process, it involves human beings. It is not just a change in the physical things, it involves human being. It's a complex one. It takes time. It is not a short span of time, a longer span of time, usually more than we expect. It requires exceptional skills and reorientation, and it does not have a final script. Whereas change, what should happen, it is there in the policy of the organization. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is what are the forces that make or they propel us, or they necessitate or they demand us to change. Now, I think several times people, they ask you these things as an essay question in the examination. It may look very, very simple, but I think it has several things. Therefore, we need to discuss them. If we have a general environment, you just think about the society, how it is changing. The other thing, during our generation, we call it as a baby boomer generation. Then, the slowly, I think the generation has undergone the change. Um, so when the baby boomer generation was there, the parenting was different, and today the parenting has undergone a lot of change. Now, with that, what is going? I think the other day I was sharing with you the concept of helicopter parenting. The type of parenting that we are doing, it has lot of implications in the organization. I think some of you recollect that movie Bommarillu Fathers. Can you recollect Bommarillu fathers, right? How they allow their children to grow and how they interfere in every aspect of their life, how they never allow them to take any decision. With that, what happens over a period of time, I think maybe yesterday or day before yesterday, I was going through an article which is related to parenting and how it is going to have impact on in the organizations. You might be thinking, just thinking about parenting only, but the kind of parenting that you are doing, it is going to have impact in the organization. Then the second thing that we talk about, again, if we talk about society, uh, don't think I'm trying to advocate or promoting something. Just I'm giving you certain idea. Then during baby boomer generation, you had many children in the family, and these children, they were creating their own games, and the way taken care of it is different. Sometimes I think some of you will be wondering how my parents could manage it. One thing is parents manage, and the second thing is siblings among themselves, they used to manage so many things. They used to create a lot of games, and they used to play, they used to fight, and then they used to mix. All these things were happening, and they know how to play. But today, what is happening? One of the problems, I think, because of the size of the family has come down. Don't think, you might be thinking, am I trying to advocate we should have too many children? Don't come to all those conclusions. But the thing is, what is happening? Because of these things, the present day children, they are playing cricket or whatever games are there on net only, and everything is done on internet tabs and these things only. And as they grow, I think whatever they desire and all those things are given to the children even before they ask. They never received the answer no in their lifetime, and for them receiving the answer no, I think it is something which they have not experienced. Now you might be thinking, why are you talking all these things? Let me tell you, these people, they go to organization tomorrow and there they work, and individually they may excel, but we know very well that we need to work in a team. And because we know as a team we achieve more, but individually they excel. But whenever they have to work in a team, I think there's a great setback. I think they have to mix with others. That creates a big problem. And all these things are the results of their parenting and other things. Now, you may differ with me. You have you have a right to differ with me, but you start thinking on all these things. Therefore, what is happening? The decision making, it is delayed. People, they become so indecisive. They do not know how to mix with people, and all these things are happening. Then one more thing, what was happening? Today they need to mix with people from different walks of life. Now you might be thinking, our children, they are studying in US and all these places. I do agree, but initially when they go to US and the way they adjust, it takes some time. So one, and all these things, let me tell you, all these things, they are coming into workplace. Remember, so whenever a new batch comes, whenever new recruitees they come to the organization, Of course, the next topic, God be willing, I have to take it on conflict management, a little conflict that arises. So the first one, there are social changes. Then we have cultural changes. Here we talk about diversity, and our country, as a beauty is, there is a unity in diversity. The culture is different, but let me tell you, the culture is undergoing a lot of change. Most of your experience, most of you agree. And today I can tell you, technology has brought a drastic change in the culture. Today we are having palm tops, laptops, all sorts of electronic things in our, uh, I think, hands, and that is creating a lot of changes. I can tell you there are cultural changes. Then there are changes in the demography. Now, when there are changes in the demography, that also calls for a change in the organization. Now, I need not talk about political changes. 10 years back, politics were different, and today's politics are totally different. I can tell you, whatever we are teaching, whatever we are teaching in marketing, management, and strategy, all these things are implemented in the political arena. They have a vision. They have a vision for about 40 years and 50 years. Some of the political parties, they have vision for 100 years. They have a mission. They have a strategy, and they know how to organize things. Then they know about tactics. See, all these things they are implemented. There's a political change that is taking place. Whenever there is a change in the political atmosphere, that is going to have impact on the organization. I think I can tell you, maybe 15 or years back or 10 years back, when there was a change in the political system, I think one of the topmost industrialist was telling, we know how to maneuver this particular kind of situation, and all these things he used to talk. So there is a political change, and that political change, that political agenda, their policies, they will have impact on the organization, and that see, then you need to change. Then there are economic changes. I know very well. Overnight, some rules and regulations they come, and these rules and regulations, the tax policies, we call it the fiscal policies, all these things will have impact on the organization, but you can't escape from all these things. You should know how to manage this kind of change. Then we talk about technology. I did not tell about technology. The technology is changing at a faster pace, and today you are making massive investment on the technology. With no time things are going to be outdated. Not only that, today one of the problems all of us are facing, just imagine how much you have spent money on mobile phones from the time these mobile phones, let us say from 2001 or 2, how much money that you have put on mobile phones. There were days we used to buy, landline used to be there, one phone we had, and that's all. That was investment. We were getting phone calls, then recurring expenditure, something was there. And today we talk about a lot of money is put on mobile phones. Then mobile phones are not meant only to talk, they perform lot of things, lot of technological things that are cropping up, that are coming up. Now, because of this technology, you know very well, several industries are positively affected, several industries are negatively affected. Now, our job is to say that how this technological change is going to have impact on my organization. Then this is the general environment which is changing, but there is some environment that's called business environment, which is very much relevant to me, is also undergoing change. We will start about the industry. Just think about entertainment industry. Uh, when um, I think uh, cassettes have come. What a about Gulshan Kumar, what a marvelous change he has brought. Previously, we used to have a HMV company, and from that we have got these cassettes, Then a lot of things have come in the entertainment industry. Now these things, they made some of the things to disappear, and these things, they gave birth to new opportunities. You agree with me? In the entertainment industry, new opportunities, they have come. Likewise, you can think about um, uh, transportation. You can think about communication system. See, lot of changes that have come. The competition today, it has undergone a lot of change. Previously, you used to think the competitor is some other person, but today you need to compete yourself. You have to compete with yourself only. Don't think competition is coming from some other place. And today we are facing international competition, not national competition. Then consumer demands, they want more and more, and they want to pay less and less, and that is what they are expecting. That is what they are expecting. They want to pay less and less. They want to get more and more. Just think about our mobile phones. Just think about the communication system. Um, you know, maybe 2004, 2003. whe- నేను మళ్ళీ మాట్లాడతాను క్లాస్లో. Now, you know very well that incoming calls were charged, outgoing calls were charged, and the rate used to be sometimes about 20, 16 rupees or something used to be there. And today, you know very well, because of the consumer demand, change in the technology, things have undergone change. You know very well, initially, there was only one player, from one player to a few players, from few players to many players. And from many players, again, it has boiled down to two or three players. I think all these things are happening because of technology, and consumer is demanding more and more. He wants to pay less and less. And our industry, you can think about Airtel, you can think about Geo, you can think about BSNL, telecom industry, how it is undergoing a lot of change. See, all these forces, they are making us to change. Then we talk about several internal forces, okay, that make us change. First thing is low performance. The performance of our people, it is coming down because of various reasons. One, the reason could be, maybe you might be thinking, of the people who are working in our organization, maybe it's because of their reason could be aging, because of aging, uh, because of aversion to learn new technology, and all these things, the low performance. Then the satisfaction level, there are some industries where if you just talk to them, their morale is low, their satisfaction is low. The new mission, new objectives you have to create. Some of those things have become outdated. The new leadership is emerging. I think people, they are not accepting the old kind of leadership. Lot of conflicts are coming up because of different generations that are working in the organization. So these are the forces that make you to change in the organization. Same thing, we are trying to present all these things in a different way. First is nature of workforce, cultural diversity, aging population, new entrants with inadequate skills. I think you can make use of all these things within those points when you are writing the answer. Technology, today we have got faster, cheaper, more mobile computers, online music sharing, deciphering of human genetic code, and ethics involved in that one. Then we have got dot com companies, stock markets, then low level of interest. Then you know about competition, global competition, mergers, consolidation, growth of e-commerce. See, all these things I have discussed. Then social trends, then we talk about internet, then we talk about baby boomers, we talk about you talk about Zomato, or you can talk about Swiggy, you can talk about Amazon. See, all these things, they have brought a lot of change. Then world politics is undergoing change. Recently, we had a war. You can think about Israel uh, and Palestine war, Russia-Ukraine war, then opening of China market, and now we are against the China market. Everywhere people they are fighting against terrorism and all these things. All these things, what they do is they make us to change in the organization. So when there's a change our perspective, they undergo change. One is you start thinking rationally, logically. That is one approach. Then the second way is you take into cognizance, you use your mental faculties, and you want to have your approaches, or you start learning new things, and you want to change in the organization. Then apart from this, I think some of these things that we can discuss about is contingency perspective. It talks about a structural change in the organization. We talk about task structure, technology, people. So see, when there's a change happens, that is the way you have to change. Then there's a population ecological perspective. It looks at the limits of change and resistance to change, how to deal with this change. Then you can also think from institutional perspective also, learning and change through imitation, professionalization, compliances. Today we talk about ESG, corporate governance, and all these things. Then we were initially we were social responsibility subject. I think we were telling people they have to do on their own, but today, social responsibility and some of these things they got into the law also. You have to comply with so many things. That brought change in the organization. Resource dependence perspective, how you are using these resources, then how you are using these resources judicially. Today, we people talk about sustainable development. Some of these words we are using, we have to incorporate, we have to insert the goals of sustainable development even into our organization. Everywhere people they talk about green marketing, green HRM, and ethical financing, ethical investment. So several things they have come into picture. Then when we talk about this change, how are we going to manage this change? Um, I think, I'll do. Yes, 2 minutes. Now, this is what we are trying to convey. What is the nature of change? What is the manager role in this change process? Is this change incremental or transformational, or are you going to have a proactive change or reactive change? If if you are going to have proactive change, if the change is incremental, you have to tune yourself, you have to tune your organization. On the other hand, you want to be proactive and the change is transformational, then you have to plan for the change. On the other hand, if you want to have a reactive change, if the change is incremental, you have to adapt yourself to change. On the other hand, if the change is transformational, if you want to be reactive, you have to force change on the people. Okay, this is what I would like to present before you. What is your intention? How you are going to bring change in the organization? Then we have to talk about managing change in the organization. Quickly, we will go through some of these things. Change. A simple meaning of change is making things different. Very, very simple thing. A planned change. A planned change means activities that are intentional and goal oriented. You are visualizing the change that is going to come. Maybe you are thinking about In those days, people they used to think about 2020. Today, people they're talking about, I think, is it 2047? People
Yes,
they are
sir. Yeah,
talking, yeah,
yeah.
they are
More.
visualizing, no, no, not 24, 25 like that. What is that? What is that we are going to do? You have to plan. Sometimes when people they have this vision, we laugh at them. We laugh at them. But as it progresses, I think you will realize how intelligent our people were. You can think about great men like Moksha Gundam Vishwesharaya and all these people. How they were thinking about the future and they brought changes in the organization. బస్ మళ్ళీ మాట్లాడతా బస్. Uh, then there are some people we call them as change agents, persons who act as catalysts and assume the responsibility for managing change activities. They assume this responsibility. They visualize what you have to think about Hyderabad. You agree with me? What's going to happen to this Hyderabad after 10 or 15 years? It's a place of happening, I do agree, but civic facilities, lot of things we need to provide. I think just now we got a guest from Bangalore. We are talking about Bangalore. Bangalore, maybe a few years back it was different. Today it is different. The other day we had jokes, right? There is a problem, water scarcity, and all these things. And change agents, what they do, they visualize. They visualize. I know in Hyderabad there are some people they took the responsibility and bold. I can tell you ponds and all these things. They are renovating. They are doing. There is a social movement. They wanted to save I think these ponds, these canals and all these things, and places like Hussain Sagar they wanted to um, preserve Gandipet. See, there are people we call them as change agents. Likewise in the organized national also, there will be people whom we call them as change agents. They assume the responsibility. They know what's going to happen after 5 years or 10 years. They prepare their people for those greater activity. Then here we talk about what are the goals of planned change. The goals of planned change is we want to improve the ability of the organization to adapt to changes in its environment and changing the behavior of individual and groups in the organization. Let me tell you, it might be very easy to bring about a technological change in the organization, structural change in the organization, and other kind of changes in the organization, but it's very, very difficult to bring behavioral changes among people. You agree with me? This that applies to me also. I'm not above all these things. So whenever somebody expects me to change my behavior, I think that resistance comes within. How we have to manage that is the most important thing in the organization. Now, what are the approaches to this change? 11 three-step model we have: action research, survey feedback, process consultation, team building, intergroup development, and appreciative inquiry. These are the several things that we are going to use in order to bring change in the organization. Now, 11th three-step model, quickly we will discuss. There are three steps. One is unfreezing. Second one is movement. The third one happens to be rephrasing. Just remember these three. People, they talk about different approaches, but unfreezing, movement, rephrasing. Now, if I want to unfreeze people, what we need to do is, there is one analysis that talk about force field analysis, and what it says, there is a need for us to change. This is the status quo. From this status quo, there are several forces they expect you to change. It could be technology, it could be I think nowadays, I think still I'm getting one particular ad. Still, if you are in 2023, still, I think you have to learn computer and all these things. Actually, that was 23 ad, even 24, they used to repeat. And long back, I have seen one particular ad. Um, in Telugu language, there is, there is a saying. Uh, Someone can say, Vidya lenivadu. Have you heard this one?
Vintapashu.
Vintapash. Okay. Now, same thing that is translated by a company. I won't tell the name of the company. So what they said, if you are not trained from this computer organization, you are, and they used to put the photo, human being photo on this one. I think the head will be animal's head or maybe donkey's head they try to put. Same thing, Vidya Lenivadu, Vinta Pasavu. Right? So that is how they are trying to communicate. You need to learn. You need to learn. Technology forces new people, new generation forces you to change. I know about the difference I'm experiencing also. I think my generation, what we used to think, I have to get a small job, small pensionable job. I have to do it 10 to 5, come back, be with family. Okay. Then after 60 years, I have to retire. The entire thinking was a planned thinking. The present generation, I know, they are thinking, okay, and in those days, your opportunities were limited. Therefore, the thinking was limited. I'll tell you, during our generation, the thinking was like this. After SSC, people they used to take one paper and they used to go to typewriting institute. They want to learn typewriting and shorthand. Their life ambition is ultimately they want to become a stenographer in the secretariat. But today things are not like that. They, in those days, people they were so happy. But today things are like they are willing to take risk. There are several opportunities that have come. When these opportunities have come, I think these opportunities they make you to change. New people they are coming, they take new risk, their way of thinking, they start questioning you. So all these forces, I think whatever I have discussed, they are expecting you to change from the status quo to the desired state. But something is happening. What's happening? One side there are forces they're asking you to change, the other side some forces they are pushing you back to the status quo level. So what are the driving forces of perform or perish, high performance goal, using new equipment, competition, then employees with new skills, desire for increased influence and rewards. These are the forces they are making you to change. But we have certain forces they restrain. One side, some people they want to perform more. The other side, group norm they come into picture and the restricted output. Then using new equipment, they say the present equipment, okay, on the present equipment we try to run. Then the driving force is competition, and today we have become so complacent with the existing thing. Then driving forces they talk about employees with new skills, and these restraining forces talk about need to learn new skills. Then desire for increased influence and rewards is there among driving forces, and restraining forces talk about fear of reduced influence and rewards. So we want to move from current level to desired level, but what is happening? There are several restraining forces. Remember, force field analysis, it's very, very important. Now, whenever you want to bring a change, whenever you want to unfreeze, there is a war with not literal war, a sort of war that is taking place uh, between these two forces. In spite of all these things, you need to make an effort to see that how to unfreeze. There are different methods. Physical removal. See, if people, a rolling stone gathers no mass, if you keep people at one place, I think they will be united, they'll fight against the change. Therefore, remove them physically from that place, keep them in a different place. Try to remove the support that they are enjoying. Try to appreciate people who are learning new skills. And with that, what happens? And the others also, they will have a humiliating experience. They try to learn new skills. Link rewards. When you link rewards with the new things that they are learning, I think automatically others also, they try to fall in line with these people. It is unfreezing. Then we talk about change. We tell people these are the things you need to learn, and these are the things we have to imbibe in order to sustain or survive in the present situation. So we have to tell people you have to comply with these things. You have to internalize the changes that are taking place. You have to identify yourself with the change. Now, unfreezing, changing, then periodically you have to rephrase. The reason is, I'll tell you. Sometimes we'll be listening to lectures like, who are the famous motivational speaker? Gopal Das? Is there a famous speaker?
Yes, sir.
Gopal,
Guru
when he speaks,
Gopalas.
when he speaks, you feel like listening to him. Mr. Kabodhananda. Oh, everything. Heaven is a wonderful place. See, we enjoy. So as long as we are there, we feel like changing. As long as we are there, we want to bring certain changes in our lifestyle. But as you enter into real life, a few days you may implement, and afterwards we go back. Therefore, what should happen periodically? We have to check whether these things are reinforced or not. So this is a change process. Then there is a writer by name Kotter. Patrick Malamat. Okay. అదే సంథింగ్ ఇస్ క్రియేటెడ్. అదే థ్యాంక్ యూ. Right. Now we have some good news. Everybody is trying to share that good news. That is the reason today, I think, though I do not want to speak, they said 1 minute, sir. Okay. Now, all those who desire to learn about this change, two wonderful books you need to read. One is Who Moved My Cheese? You will enjoy reading that book. It's an old book, but roadside. You will enjoy a lot about reading that book. The second book that you need, don't scold me because I'm mentioning a lot of things, a lot of books, a lot of articles that you have to go through. See, I'm not teaching as if you are going only from the point of view of writing this examination. See, I'm sharing with you all this information so that all these things will be useful tomorrow. You people need to conduct a lot of training programs in your organization. At that time, they will be useful. And let me tell you, the real joy for a teacher is when their students, when they give lecture, when they appreciate their students, the teacher will be very happy. Fortunately, for these 10 days, I'm designated as your facilitator. I feel so happy when people appreciate you when you give lectures. And for that purpose, all these things will be useful. See, the title of the book is, am I correct? Okay, this is Cotter book. There is a book. Just one minute. I'll share it with you. 1 minute. Yes, John Cotter. Suddenly, I forget whether I'm teaching correctly or not. John Cotter. He wrote that book. Our iceberg is melting. Please go through that book. You will enjoy reading that book. Two books. One is um, who moved my cheese? The second one is our iceberg is melting. It's a story of penguins, and in that one, he talks about management of change, and he gives a lot of 8 steps. He gives 8 steps he gives regarding changing the organization. First thing he talks about, you need to create. You need to create. Very simple that I'm going to talk is 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. You need to create an urgency of change in the organization. You need to create something is going wrong. There's a need for us to change. That create you have to create that urgency. The second step, it is not just creating urgency. You have to formulate a guiding coalition. Why he uses the word coalition? Whenever you talk about change, people they laugh at you. Therefore, you need to have a coalition of like-minded people. You read that book, you will enjoy. Then the third thing is you need to form. That means you have to develop a strategy to bring about change in the organization. Formulating strategy is not enough. It's not enough. You have to enlist, you have to communicate and put forth your vision or strategy for change. How you want to bring a change. There are many people that talk about problems, they don't talk about solutions. So you need to talk about even solutions. Then you have to enable, you have to empower your employees for taking action to incorporate these changes. You have to empowering. One more thing I'm sharing with you. You have to trust, empower, entrust. When you are managing people, three important things: trust, empower, and entrust. These three things are required. You have to enable people. Then you have to generate, you have to formulate and generate short-term goals. And whenever you are winning short-term goals, you have to celebrate also. Sometimes even defeats, you should learn how to celebrate. Then we need to sustain, capitalize of wins and gains in order to produce bigger result. Whatever small thing, small happiness you need to share among people, and you have to enjoy. Then, after some time, we have to institute means incorporate new and better changes in the workplace culture. That allows us to bring change in the organization. These are the 8 steps that are involved in the change management process, which is given by John Cotter in his book, Our Iceberg is Melting. You take time, start reading that book. That book, it's available roadside also, it's available. You can buy any new book. Okay, same thing, whatever I have taught, we try to put in these forms. One is creating urgency, engage and enable whole organization, implement and sustain change. Then we are going to talk about there is a model of change that is called DICE model. So whenever you are trying to bring a change in the organization, 4 important things that are going to influence you. The first thing is what dies. What is the duration of time the change program is completed? If it has a short span and not short, the amount of time between review of milestones, what is the duration you are going to have? The second thing that we talk about, the integrity, the project team's performance integrity. So you may talk about change, but if you do not have that integrity, people will not follow you. It depends on member skills and traits relative to the project's requirement. And third thing that is required is what is your commitment to the change? When I talk about commitment, commitment should be from top management and should come down. Then the fourth one, the effort over and above the usual work that the change initiative demands of staff. Now, these are the four factors one need to consider if you have to bring change in the organization. Now, let me tell you, I am presenting different perspective, different things regarding change, and what you need to do. Keep all these things in mind, and whatever suits you, you have to take place. Then the other thing is ADKAR model. ADKAR model talks about awareness, the need for change, desire to support and take part in change, knowledge of how to change, ability that is to implement change, and reinforcement of change. So several things I try to put before you. I'll come to these things afterwards. But here, what I'm going to do. Um, one minute. One. I'll come to these things if time permits. Resistance to change, forms of resistance to change. It could be overt or resistance or immediate or implicit or deferred change. Whenever you talk about change, people they try to resist. Why they try to resist? Quickly, I'll give you some 10 reasons why people they resist. They say we have never done it before. Nobody else has done it before. They give this some or other they give. It can't be done. It won't work in small company. It won't work in a large company. Some kind of other people they give whenever you want to bring a change in the organization. It may work in a small company or large company, but it won't work in our company because they want to resist. Then it may work in my company, but we are not ready for change. Why change? Why do you talk about change? It's working okay. Then we have been doing in this way for the past 25 years and you want me to change. So all these are the reasons people they give why they do not want to change. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm at the verge of retirement. Why do you talk about change? See, lot of explanations people they give about this change. Now all these things we are going to put sources of resistance why people they resist change we are going to give in this form. One is called individual resistance. Individual resistance is I am habituated to this sort of thing. Don't ask me to change. Then I think if change comes, I may lose my financial security. And third thing, maybe it is going my security, my economic factors. Then there is something called fear of unknown. We think a known devil is better than an unknown God. I'm happy with the present thing. Why should I change? Then there's something called selective information processing. I choose whatever I want. So my perception is based on what I want. Therefore, people they try to resist the change, individual reasons. Likewise, organization reasons also there. Why people they resist change? The structure of the organization, there is inertia whenever you want to change in the organization or normally whenever people they talk about change they focus on limited things not everything. Then you want to change but your group never allows you to change. That's called group inertia. And next thing we talk about all these days people they consider me as something expert. Computers are coming. If computers they come, whatever expertise I have with me, I think people won't care for me. That is what I think threat to my expertise. Then when computers or new things come, new technology comes, new organization structure comes, I think it may take away my established power relationship and my resources also may come down. All these things, they make me not to change in the organization. Now the question is, how do we overcome this resistance to change? The first thing, the first way that you can overcome this resistance to change is we need to educate, we need to communicate. The other day also I was sharing with you, many communicate, very few connect to people. So whenever you are bringing change, you communicate to people in their own language. You try to connect them. You educate those people about the new opportunities that they are going to get. I think those things are required. Then allow people to participate in the change management process. Many changes they fail because people they don't allow their subordinates to participate in the decision making process. There are leaders, they are called very fast leaders, they bring marvelous changes, but they don't take people along with them. That is the problem. Then we talk about we have to facilitate and support. Whenever you are teaching, let us say, computers to a 50 years old man or 55 years old man, you have to facilitate, you have to give a lot of emotional support to them, and you have to understand them. There's a lot of anxiety whenever you are learning a new thing. Then there's something called negotiations. And you have to negotiate with people who are working in your organization. You come on, you change. When you change, you won't lose anything. You will get some extra benefits. We will give you a lot of benefits when you are training, and afterwards you'll be benefited. All these things we have to tell. But still, some people they won't listen. When they don't listen, either you should have co-optation, or sometimes you need to manipulate also. We have to tell people. And the last thing is sometimes you have to threaten people, they won't listen. You might be thinking, I'm talking in a harsh way. I think we talk about Samadana Veda Dandopayam. You heard these things? Samadana Veda Dandopayam. Ultimately, sometimes you have to coerce people, you have to make them to change in the organization. Then the other things that you need to do is you have to give them emotional support. You have to give them emotional support, avoid threat, build trust among people. Timing is considered as the most important thing whenever you are bringing a change in the organization. You have to pay a lot of attention to social relationships, especially when you are bringing change in the organization. Try to understand them, try to have empathy in the uh, empathy, and that helps you to overcome the problems that are there in the organization. I think whenever you are trying to bring about change in the organization. Now, quickly, I'll go through what are the contemporary issues whenever you are bringing a change in the organization is, can you have the culture of innovation? Innovation, a new idea applied to initiating or improving product and process. So for this process, you have to create innovation culture in the organization. And you should have idea champions. The idea champions uh, are those individuals who take an innovation and actively, enthusiastically promote the idea, build support. You have to encourage idea champions. Then you need to create learning organization. Without creating learning organization, you cannot bring change in the organization. A learning organization is that has developed continuous capacity to adapt change. Um, for that purpose, you have to create single loop learning and double loop learning. Single loop learning talks about errors corrected using past routines and present policies. Double loop learning, errors are corrected by modifying the organization's objectives, policies, and standards and routines. Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you so much, because it is 6:58. There are a lot of things that I can share it with you, but time won't permit. Therefore, I am stopping. The reason is suddenly the connection will go because you have to attend the other classes. Thank you so much. Is it okay?
Thank you, sir.
There are a lot of things I can share, but thank you so much. I'll be sharing the whatever PPTs I have with you. Thank you so much. Deepak, are you there? Deepak. Okay, no problem. Uh, See you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think it's going to be, we are going to have a lecture. I think with that, this session lectures will come to an end. Okay, thank you.